Licensed games as a genre will always be a phenomenon to me. The reason I believe this is because the fact that the consistency in regards to the quality of these games is nothing short of breathtaking. They can either be really solid, not amazing, but definitely serviceable, straight up terrible trash that was made for no reason other than make a quick buck, or, once in a while, it can be really, really good. Judging by the title of this video, I am sure that you guys are aware of what category of quality the game in question falls under. It's really good. I'd say it is even the best licensed game ever made. Now, what could be so good that I would dare say that it's better than the Ratatouille video game? Well, that would obviously be 2010's Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game. In a revelation that is not shocking to anyone who knows me in real life or is even remotely close to me online, I am a massive, massive enjoyer of Brian Lee O'Malley's graphic novel, Scott Pilgrim. For those who are unaware, blissfully, Scott Pilgrim is a series that follows 23-year-old Scott Pilgrim and his adventures as he meets a big-titty goth chick named Ramona Flowers, and begins his journey to match profile pictures with her on Twitter. But there's a catch, as there is with all things. He has to fight all 7 of her previous top donors on OnlyFans. Now remember guys, when I say this, remember, it's very important. This is peak fiction, and disagree equals bias. I will not take an argument on this. Jokes aside, there very obviously is more to the story than what I just said, but the comic is still to this day very loved and has a significant cult following of many fans that are still very active, even if for the wrong reasons. However, the series would not only be represented in comic book format, as it would be also receiving a live-action film adaptation in 2010, directed by Edgar Wright, who also did a movie about a baby driving a car or something. I don't know. I can't really read. Unfortunately, when the movie was released, it was an absolute bomb financially, struggling to make back even half of its budget, despite positive reviews. I don't fucking know how you do that. Now, the main reason for this is more likely than not due to the lack of hype surrounding the movie. If anything, I'd probably compare it to when Byleth was announced for Smash Brothers. However, the movie was to be accompanied alongside the release of a game that was going to be released digitally on Xbox Live Arcade and the PlayStation Network, and clearly striving for the highest quality possible, they decided that it was to be developed by Ubisoft, a brilliant pick because when I think of Scott Pilgrim, I too think about climbing towers for 17 hours. Shockingly, the development of this game was an absolute fucking nightmare. You see, originally the game was going to be developed by Ubisoft Montreal. However, due to the team deciding to change its priorities and focus on next-gen titles, the game would be later passed down to Ubisoft Chengdu, due to the fact that nobody else would dare touch the project. To make it even better, it was passed on to the team with a deadline of 5 fucking months. The game only had 1 stage completed and minimal characters implemented before development was transferred, and just to rub salt in the wound, according to Richard Tsao, managing director over at Ubisoft Chengdu, quote, "It's like 5 months to make 80% of a game, you know? Who in their right mind would sign up for that?" And he is absolutely right. The fact that he even took on this project is incredible in itself. However, due to the insane dedication that rivaled that of a COD fan telling you the series hasn't fallen off yet, and yes it has, co-partner.
Oh my god! Wow! Oh my god!
And strong vision that Tsao and his team had over at Ubisoft Chengdu, they managed to finish the game in time for its release, and the dedication here is absolutely insane, and I had no doubt there was an insane amount of time crunch, a practice that I don't think should be used, but in this case it seemed like it was out of passion rather than demand of executives, so I can give it a light pass. But, and massive but here, would this game be heralded as the second coming of Christ, like the Mad Max game in Spider-Man 2, or would it be banished to the pits that contain Spider-Man 3? Well, we all know the answer to this.
Please, someone? I'm going to die.
Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game, God that is a mouthful of a title, is a 4-player beat-em-up where you control 1 of 6 characters and just, do what you always do in a beat-em-up game, I guess. You beat up a lot of fellas, usually unprovoked, as it should be. Of course, the game does have its own little quirks and charms to make it stand out from the rest of the crowd. The first one for me is the aesthetic and art direction of the game. It is a perfect one-to-one translation of Brian's art style in a sprite format. Every character is instantly recognizable if you read the comic, and a choice I think was made for the better. The game's direction as a whole takes very little, if any, inspiration from the movie. The sprite work and animation work here is absolutely phenomenal. All the characters have I guess I would call it a bounce to them, that makes them feel so expressive. Even the faces they make during their attacks go just a little bit further and give them all a sense of character. Brian is very good at drawing expressions, and I'm so glad to say that they transferred over perfectly here. Visual glitches are cool. We love these. locations all have a ton of little details packed into them too, whether it be the depth to every stage, the lighting, or the Easter eggs hidden in the background of many stages. Everything here feels like it was made out of love for the source material, which is even more heartwarming than it already would have been given the extremely short development window they had. However, before we go much further, I suppose we should really discuss the bread and butter of this game, and of any beat 'em up really, the aggravated assault you're going to be doing for the next 5 hours. The controls are simple for the most part. You can use a light attack with X, a heavy attack with Y, jump with the A button, and block with the B button. You dash by double tapping the D-pad or flicking the analog stick if you're a freak and play this game like that. No shame, but also shame on you.
朋友是一个坚韧不拔的纪录片，在香港这座城市的摄制，主演钱和乐。
But wait, guys, wait. Ubisoft put something in this game that earned them Game of the Century, and you know what that is? You know what that is? Drumroll. They put in RPG mechanics in their beat 'em up. Peak. This game's peak. It makes such a minimal fucking impact on the game, so I don't know why the fuck these are here, but whatever. It's all just numbers at the end of the day, which, I mean, you could say that for just about any RPG. It's just a game of numbers, but regardless, they're in the game, and yeah, they're there. I don't have much to comment on. It's just numbers. The one very neat thing about this mechanic, though, all the RPG stuff, is the way you upgrade your stats is by eating food from shops. So instead of foods being temporary buffs like they are in most RPGs, food is actually integral to your permanent growth in this game in your strength, defense, willpower, and speed. I like that. It's unique. Instead of just grinding for armor and weapons, you can grind for money, which is horribly accurate to real life. The other major mechanic in this game is gut points. This is just your standard energy that is used for your character's super attacks and assists. Every character has a unique super and assist. For the assist, you'll call in knives, and depending on the character, her action will change. If you are Scott, she'll do an AoE attack, and if you are Kim, for example, she will heal you with AoE. The perks of being gay, I guess, is that you get to be immortal. However, for Ramona, she will heal the whole party, so clearly some abilities are better than others. The final noteworthy mechanic in the game is tech attacks. Every character has two. The first one you obtain from reaching level 16 with your current character, and the second one is obtained from going to a secret location in the 6th level and buying it from a vendor. These can shift the game from being relatively difficult to piss easy on the drop of a dime depending on the character. Scott, for example, has an unblockable attack as a second tech attack. It lunges him forward and has little end lag, meaning you can just spam it and the enemies can't really do shit about it. But it's a very unfun way to play the game, and don't do it or it'll be downvoted on Reddit.
Yo, come on, man. I can't have shit in this house.
It's not my fault. The enemies just have a fucking skill issue. The game has 4 base characters to play around with, 2 DLC characters that were included in the remaster, and a secret character, so 7 in total, and they are kinda different. They all share the same command and inputs, and they unlock new attacks in the same order, but they definitely do not play the same. For example, Scott plays a lot like somebody who just watched Baki for the first time, and Stefan Stills plays a lot more like a drunk dad. Ramona has a gimmick exclusive to her, and that is being able to pull random items out of her bag, and while this ability isn't anything too crazy, it is a neat little reference to the source material, and it's kinda cool considering the fact she has absolutely nothing else in her toolkit. She can smash her balls on the sledgehammer, I guess, if that's her thing. Kim has 2 definitive things about her. 1 is mommy, and 2 is the fact that her tech attack is so fundamentally broken that not even a literal infant could struggle to beat this game with it unlocked. I'm not joking or being hyperbolic, it is genuinely that easy. Her attacks and animations are genuinely just fucking brutal too, like watching her kick some dude's poor cock and balls and just makes me really go. In typical Ubisoft fashion, the added content is just base game stuff with slightly tweaked gold star for consistency, I guess. It just boils down to Stefan Stills being more gay and then Kim being a ninja and less hot. And yes, I did just say that Knives less attractive than Kim. The secret character, Nega Scott, is a Scott clone. Shocking, I guess. Even the world's greatest philosophers failed trying to understand how this could ever possibly be the case. Ubisoft is just too intelligent for us to understand. The fact that Nega Scott constantly gets done this dirty is nothing short of mind-boggling.
Cool. Yeah, alright. Be good. Yeah. Hey. Nothing, we just shot the shit. He's just a really nice guy. We're gonna get brunch next week.
This is fucking terrible. Also, if you're wondering why there's just Scott footage here, it's because I'm not beating the game 4 separate times over for a 5th time. I love this game, but not that much. 100% valid excuse, I know. Anyways, what about the level design in this game? It's pretty straightforward stuff, although the game does have a really unique gimmick in the form of subspace. Subspace is hidden behind doors marked with a star, and going through them will take you to a secret route that will allow you to skip a big chunk of the level, and also farm up a massive amount of money, so it's a win-win. If I remember correctly, the only time this formula got changed was in level 5, where there's a whopping 2 bits of platforming. Great job, Ubisoft, really pushing boundaries in the genre. Fun little pro tip right here. If you really need to grind up money fast and don't feel like replaying the same level over and over and over again, you can go to level 5, go through the subspace door at the start of the level, grab the money, and then immediately leave to the world map and keep farming that route for more and more money. Don't tell you about this though, it'll be our personal little secret, you cheating little bitch. Some levels do have obstacles though that you need to avoid. However, they don't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things because you'll just be more worried about getting through the next fight. It's like they expect me to be afraid of a fucking bus, like, I don't have a joke, fuck. But what about the levels themselves? What are we looking at exactly? Well, we have a grand total of 7 stages, all featuring a fight with an evil X at the end aside from stage 6, but more on that one later. Stage 1 is probably my second favorite. The aesthetics are absolutely gorgeous, and it's just a really fun and welcoming open stage with a ton of callbacks to the early issues of the comics. You're also introduced to two of the most terrifying things within this game, Eminem fans and this game's overwhelming obsession with obesity.
The worst bar on this track being actually just shit on my last chick because she has what my ex lacks. X-lax, get it? X-lax. The worst bar on it being your booty is heavy duty, like diarrhea. Because this type of pickle we're in's hard to deal, as in like deal like dill, like a dill pickle. Girl, you're just gonna have to put them other chumps on the back burner. You got buns? I got Asperger's. Also, stunning bars like, I'm a candle, I'll go out if you're blowing me, and getting head in a bucket, marshmallow. And lines like, sneak up with a lethal injection and put him down like they did to my dog. I'm talking euthanasia, like kids in Taiwan.
Stage 2 takes place on a movie set with a lot of unique enemies, set pieces, and mechanics here, like the traps that have really good reward if you're willing to take the risk, and the Street Fighter reference at the end of the stage definitely got a smile out of me. Kind of let down though, there's no casting couch here. Stage 3 takes place in I think it's a nightclub, but really who knows. You blindly assault several people who are more likely than not intoxicated, and then you reach the stage and assault 2 women before having a boss battle with a demigod who has vegan superpowers. Then you go outside and kick his ass. Told you guys Scott Pilgrim was peak fiction, this shit makes sense.
You once were a vegan, but now you will be gone.
Vegan.
And holy shit guys, look, Ubisoft predicted every Far Cry game after 3, that's fucking nuts! And there also is one cameo here, that not a single soul would have expected. A celebrity so famous that the idea of him appearing here was a mere fantasy. Ladies and gentlemen, I present MC Ride from Death Grips. Stage 4 begins with you assaulting poor innocent women who are just trying to practice roller skating. Great job. Then you crash a train through someone's restaurant where they are probably struggling to pay the bills. Then you go outside and discover that somehow Canada has begun to grow bamboo because that's plausible. Then you cap the level up by committing a hate crime and brutally beating a gay woman. This peak fiction. Peak fiction. Stage 5 is a very interesting level. It starts out with a house party that is kinda lame in retrospect. Everyone is just crowded up against the walls standing there. You will then come to realize that this game likes fat shaming because half this level is you just fighting obese men. Once you get to the roof, you fight the evil twins in their giant Power Rangers type mech, and then you somehow destroy their entire fucking mech by just beating it in a match of bloody knuckles. Then you follow the twins back to their base, and we are given a small, the briefest glimpse into their infinite intelligence when they see that they have managed to create ray tracing in real life. I sound like Morgs for a second. I wonder if Morgs let me collab with him. That'd be fucking great.
Oh, guys, check this out. These flowers are so pretty.
Bruh.
Another Gigabrain pro tip, you can absolutely cock stomp these two before the fight actually starts by just walking up and thwacking the shit out of them before the cutscene plays. How this wasn't fixed in the remaster is absolutely beyond me.
I don't want to do this no more.
Stage 6 is unironically the best stage in the game by a mile, not even being hyperbolic. The bit from the comic that it adapts is my favorite chapter, more so for the growth that Scott gets in the chapter than anything else. And holy shit, is that Mega Scott getting a relevant role? Gold star, Ubisoft. You did something the movie didn't even try to do. Holy shit, I hate this movie. But the aesthetics here are absolutely gorgeous, and the enemies are super unique, with the level having this almost fairy tale feel to it, with zombies, leprechauns, and Wolverines, I guess? Does Canada even have Wolverines? Uh-huh, that's neat. The final stage is kind of eh. The elevator part at the beginning is pretty neat, but it drags on for a bit too long in my opinion. However, the fight with Super Gideon is great. He really gives me the impression that I'm fighting a Redditor who finally got his gold. You then transition to going inside of him, this sounds awful out of context, and you fight. Sorry, correction. Steamroll the fuck out of his Giga form. I don't know how he's this big and gets whooped this bad by someone who's of average height. If Super Gideon was Gideon after getting Reddit Gold, then this is Gideon after becoming a mod, and good for him. He seems like a nice guy. I doubt he would ever engage in sex traffic. Oh, damn. Technodrome is a pretty okay last stretch. On your first run though, you're gonna hit this place pretty bad. At least I did. I thought it was a little unfair the fact that I already fought 2 bosses and had to go to the elevator and then fight more enemies. But when you replay it, it's a perfectly fine level. Plus 3 points for including MC riding the elevator too. I can hear his beautiful screams. Trigger warning, complete virgin comment incoming here. But the only thing I disliked was the fact that the sword was done so dirty. See, in the comics, Scott gets the power of love way back in the fight with Roxanne, the girl in the 4th stage. He then loses this sword in the fight with Gideon, but after a self-aware realization, he obtains a new sword, the power of understanding. It's a great conclusion for his arc, and not to mention the sword is a Bleach reference, so what the fuck, Ubisoft. On that note though, I think now would be a great time to mention the story, so let's look over what we got here. Oh, I see. Yeah, for those of you who haven't seen the movie or read the comic, all you have is the opening cutscene to go off of, which, while serviceable, doesn't give you the full story, but I suppose that can't be helped given the fact that 1, the devs were working on Omega crunch time, and 2, I would never recommend this as someone's first piece of Scott Pilgrim content. The endings are charming as hell though, even if some, like Scott's ending, are a little too accurate. I don't know why, but the thought of how accurate it is that Scott would acquire a harem if Ramona left him and that he would still never be happy sounds so accurate to what almost happened in the comics, and it's also probably what Esam thought would happen when he became an activist on Twitter.
Nigga, go boxing ring, faggot.
Then on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have Nega Scott's ending, where he just takes over the world and makes Scott and company slave away in a salt mine, a haunting implication of what Scott's deepest desires were up until he met Ramona. And then there's just Stefan Still's ending. He's happy, I'm happy. The boss fights range from good to pretty damn great in this game. A lot of the time it just comes down to you trading blows with them, seeing as a lot of the bosses have unblockable attacks or are just simply too fast. But some bosses like Nega Scott and Gideon's final phase are just fun to play. Todd Ingram, the boss of the 3rd stage, is also a fun fight as well. I love how he uses his powers to mutate into this abomination, something that wasn't in the source material or the movie. I just love that kind of thing. However, unfortunately, not every boss is amazing. Lucas Lee, the boss of Stage 2, and the twins are both underwhelming. Lucas because he's piss easy even after he gets a skateboard, and the twins because, well, they're weak as hell.
Fight back, nigga!
There's one more boss I want to give praise to actually, and that is Knives' dad. Not because he's hard or anything, but because he was such a minor antagonist in the source material that it genuinely surprised me when I saw him as a secret boss in this game. I love that kind of attention to detail. The thing that most people will remember this game for is the soundtrack composed by Anna Monoguchi. This soundtrack is straight sex, and there is no other way to describe it perfectly besides that. Stage 1 has such a good theme to open the game with, ironically titled Another Winter to juxtapose the fact that this winter would be the one that would change Scott's life forever. Stage 6, titled Leave the Past Behind, is perfectly fitting, seeing as this was the moment in the comics where Scott had finally come to terms with himself and his mistakes, and learned that he needed to become a better person and that he needed to take responsibility for his actions. You can really feel that in this song. The music in this game is just so fitting everywhere it's used. Even levels that I would consider to be underwhelming or mid
It's called the Midwest because every single thing in it is mid.
are made good by the heart and soul that was placed into this soundtrack. You can really feel the era of gaming they were trying to replicate with this old retro kind of games that were trending at the time this game's release and development. And it's just, oh, the art style and soundtrack go hand in hand. It's so fucking good. Absolutely top tier stuff. There's not a single bad track in this game if you ask me. The boss themes, menu music, and hell, even the character select music is an absolute banger. It's all just fantastic. Like, I genuinely have no flaws with this game's soundtrack. Thank you, Anna Monoguchi. Your music only helped to push this game farther than it was already going, and I'm convinced that this game would not be as well received and loved if it wasn't for the soundtrack. Now, I will take my copyright claim and go back to being depressed. Thank you very much. Unfortunately though, no game is perfect, and this game is no exception. The game is generally buggy in certain areas, depth perception is a major issue in places like the Temple of Ray Tracing, and walking through doors is such an inconsistent activity, but it's something that will ruin your experience with the game. You even have incentive for multiple playthroughs. Completing the game with 4 main characters, Scott, Stills, Kim, and Ramona, will allow you to play as the Glass Cannon Nega Scott. He hits like a bus but has low GP and health, but his attacks are so powerful it doesn't even matter. He's also, like I said earlier, just generally fun. And no, I still don't have any footage of him, leave me alone. Can already feel the dislikes coming. The game is just top to bottom some great stuff, and it's no wonder why people were so bummed out that the game was delisted from stores way back in 2014. But thankfully the game was remastered and released on modern platforms and stores in January of 2021, meaning that everyone can enjoy the definitive edition of this game. However, I'm pretty confident in the fact that this is the single best licensed game that has ever been released. The love and care from the developers for the source material goes above and beyond what is expected from this genre of games, and the fact that all this was done in such a short time is nothing short of astonishing. But the game still has one crucial flaw, one that is so big that the game is simply unplayable in the eyes of the public. It is so big that it is the sole reason that the game got delisted from stores. That reason is, there's no face scans for Michael Cera. 2 out of 10, dog shit game. So, this video is pretty different in regards to the previous videos, huh? Well, nonetheless, I hope it was enjoyable for you guys. I want to start doing more essay-style videos like this one. I think they're a lot of fun, and I like shining a new light on a game that I feel like deserves it. These won't be the only videos I will be uploading, of course, so don't worry about that at all. I will still be doing the Life Chronicles episodes and other stuff that is a bit more akin to commentary, but we'll have to see all of that pans out. I wasn't kidding when I said this YouTube channel is going to be better than ever. Also, a small thing that is actually relevant to the video is the fact that I am commissioning an artist, McCartney, that is going to be creating my new persona to use for just about everything, and it is actually going to be in the Scott Pilgrim art style, so let's hope that comes back good. But I think that is all I have for today's video, so thank you guys so much for watching and for checking out today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. Remember, stay safe, wash your hands, wear a mask, and most importantly, stay cool, everybody.